He's a tough street-fighting lawyer with the highest ratings for honesty and integrity. He's here to answer your legal questions and get you the help you need. You're listening to The Legal Lowdown with your lawyer, Joe Ingram of Joe Ingram Law. Joe Ingram has more than 20 years' experience fighting for his clients here in the state of Alabama. Joe's focus is criminal defense and family law. You don't have to face your legal issue alone. You've got Joe Ingram on your side. In case of sensitive legal matters, you can always reach out directly to Joe at joeingramlaw.com and arrange for a private consultation. And now, Alabama's defender of the defenseless, protector of the people, and all-around good guy, Joe Ingram.
All right. You're listening to the Legal Lowdown with Joe Ingram, your Alabama lawyer on WERC 105.5 FM in Birmingham, WBHP up in Huntsville, and WRTR in Tuscaloosa. Welcome to our broadcast today. Please check out our podcast on Apple, Spotify, and even my YouTube channel. Remember, if you have a case, better call Joe. If you're listening to our show, we ask you to download the podcast, share it, like it with your friends and family, even your enemies. Encourage them as well to tune in and listen to our broadcast. One of our sponsors, Flat Fee Real Estate of Birmingham. They are a sponsor for our show. You can see their video on our channel. We are so glad to have them as a sponsor of our show. My office represents people from Huntsville, Birmingham, Montgomery, Mobile, and Tuscaloosa. If you need representation, call my office, 205-825-5297, 205-825-5297. You can talk to an intake specialist, and we will get you in for a consultation. Joe Ingram Law, you can look us up on the web, is all you need to know for your legal needs in Alabama. Okay, first hour, we are going to devote to what I would call, we're going to call this personal self-help growth content for those that want a better marriage, better job, better lifestyle, whatever. Because those of you that listen to the first hour of our broadcast are probably people that are repeat offenders listening to my show. So I'm going to challenge you between now and the rest of the year to grow with me to be a better person, because that's part of this show of what we do. Anybody that has a legal case, whether it be divorce, criminal, personal injury, whatever it is, they all have some of the same issues for the person that comes in to hire a lawyer. And so we're going to talk a lot about that the first hour. Second hour, we're going to talk about national and state legal news this week. A lot of good topics out there. Everything for waiting on to the Supreme Court is about to wind down for the term. There's some big decisions still out there to be decided. The state made some news this week. There was a execution that was supposed to take place Thursday night. They got halted at the last minute. We're going to talk about that. Then we're going to talk about the elections that are set for the races Tuesday. So we're going to talk about that in the second hour. All right. So for those of you that listen to the first hour, you're probably somebody that listens to this show every week. And so I'm going to challenge you to grow with me for the rest of the year, because I've been reading a lot of content related to my job lately. I'm not a social worker. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not even a psychiatrist. But I read enough content and I read enough material that I can spot signs, clues, and issues after my first meeting or consultation with you. And I can see what's going on behind the legal issue as well. Okay. We talked about this last week about women, how by 2030, how the number of people that are females that want to be married or have children. I've got another statistic for you today. Marriage is no longer considered required for a happy life. The belief that marriage is essential for a happy life is growing weaker every year. Today, about 80% of Americans agree that someone can live a fulfilling, meaningful, happy life without ever getting married is a significant cultural shift from past generations, when marriage was viewed as a necessary step into adulthood. I think back to those that came back from World War II. Everybody wanted to get married, have the house, white picket fence, 2 children, 3 children, a dog. That was the American dream. And the husband worked and the wife stayed home. That's all changed. That's all changed. From 2019 to 2023, the share of women who say marriage isn't important for fulfilling life jumped from 31 to 48%. That's a 17% jump in statistics for women. Pew Research did a poll. 1 in 4 Americans, that's 25%, over 40, has never been married. The highest rate on record. People aren't rejecting love. They are simply rejecting the idea that marriage is a necessity to having a happy life and a commitment. And I actually interviewed 2 new clients this week, both of which had never been married, and they were both over 40. So that's 100% for me, 2 for 2 this week. Got some very sad news to tell you about marriage and where we're headed in this country. The term mother and father are now being replaced. Are you ready for this? This is really sad. There was a statute that passed the New York legislature this past spring, in which the terms mother and father have been replaced with gender-neutral terms. And the bill is sitting on Governor Hochul's desk waiting to be signed into law. Are you ready for this? This is what we're going to call a mother now. Gestating parent. And a father is now a non-gestating parent. And paternity has been replaced with parentage if it passes and signed into law. So this goes back to, can you define a woman and can you define a man? That is where we're headed in America. You're not a mother. You're not a father. You are a gestating parent, Mom. So for those of you coming up for Father's Day, it's not Happy Father's Day anymore. It's Happy Non-Gestating Parent Day. Can you imagine them passing that on the calendar? Oh, my goodness. The Republican that is running for governor up in New York, Bruce Blakeman, has shared multiple posts on his social media feed talking about the new legislation and how it is we are shifting away from a family. We are killing what a family is in America. I have been reading several books for the last couple of months working on new content related to my job. And by the way, it is a good idea to read several books at a time. You take notes and you put all the material together for you to interpret in a way so it will last longer in your long-term memory bank. Just like when we were back in school and we read several books at a time, especially in law school, you were reading 5 law subjects at a time, 100 pages a day. So it's good to read several books at a time related to similar topics. There is a book I've been reading for divorce clients. This is a phenomenal book. It is styled "Stop Letting Everything Affect You, and How to Be Free of Overthinking, Emotional Chaos, and Self-Sabotage." Do you remember last week when I talked about Ben Affleck and self-sabotage because of his childhood? This is where we're headed, okay? How to repair a conversation after you've hurt your spouse or significant other. A relationship can survive conflict. What it cannot survive is the absence of the repair. Most couples, and this isn't all, just most couples apologize, move on, and pretend like everything's fine, and then wonder why the same fight returns again, and again. Because nothing was ever healed, nothing was ever addressed. Nobody ripped the Band-Aid off of whatever the real issue that needs to be addressed. So you always go back to the same argument. It happens all the time. After you've had a serious argument with your spouse or significant other, when is the time to have the conversation to repair it? Not in the heat of the moment. Take a cooling off period. Just leave. Just go out of the room for the day. The best time to try to repair a relationship is generally 24 to 48 hours later after the conflict. Call it a cooling off period. And what's really important is when you talk about repairing, you don't go back and rehash the argument again. You've already had the argument. Now you're trying to repair it. Step 1, acknowledge what happened. Name the conflict without repeating the entire fight. Don't say, your mother-in-law is a problem. Don't do that. Say the issue with my in-laws. Give it a name. Don't rehash the entire fight. And don't start it without reopening a new argument. That's step 1. Okay. Now, step 2. Take personal ownership of your part, even if you believe you are mostly right. That's hard for men. We have egos. Whatever your part is, I should have not raised my voice. I should have not yelled. I should have not cursed your mother, your father-in-law. I brought up issues that weren't relevant to this fight. And here's the biggie. They teach you this in mediations. I heard this from a mediator one time, and I also heard this from a federal judge in a mediation. One of the greatest federal judges I ever met. Anytime you apologize, do not apologize and say, but. Here's why. When you say but, everything you just said, you negated. I apologize, but your mother's still a problem. No, you don't do that. Never use the word but in an apology. Step 3, understand the impact and ask how your behavior affected them. How did that make you feel? Understand how that affected them or how you hurt them. And learn to listen and not defend yourself, correcting the story, the facts, the arguments. Don't explain your intentions. Just listen with your ears and your mouth shut. Just listen and really listen. Don't just sit there and look at them like you're paying attention to them. Actually listen to what they have to say. It's a very hard concept, but I do it every day in a courtroom. I sit there and I listen to arguments and I don't say a word until I'm allowed to speak. Okay. And so after your spouse has heard, don't make comments. I will say my argument and not say anything personal to attack you in nature. You have to be honest with your spouse and say, I'll try not to do that again. Don't ever make the statement of, I'll never do it again. Never is a definitive word. Don't say never. Say, I'll try, because we're always doing better. And more likely than not, you're going to do it again. You're going to complain about the in-laws. So those are healthy ways to address conflict between you and your spouse. And this brings me to the next thought related to people in a divorce facing either a divorce or facing a criminal charge. Both are life-changing events that I have noticed in my career. This is why two people can experience the same difficulty and emerge completely differently. One person spends their time asking, why did this happen to me? And the other person may ask, what can I build from this? And how do I overcome it? So this takes us to part of a book I've been reading. This is a Latin term, so if I butcher it, I apologize. I didn't study Latin. Amor fati. Amor fati. The Latin term means love of one's fate. So, the love of fate, not tolerating reality, not enduring reality, living reality, enough to use it. And the worst part, many people spend decades waiting for a better hand of cards, if you will, while never fully playing the one you've already been sitting in front of. You don't like the cards you're handed, so you blame the rest of your life on the cards in front of you. Play the cards that you're dealt in front of you. One of the hardest Stoic questions is this: if someone else were handed your exact life, your hardships, your failures, your circumstances, your disadvantages, would they build something greater from it than you have? The Stoics, and this goes back to the term, amor fati, are far beyond the famous phrase itself. Why resentment weakens, why acceptance creates power, and why the Stoics believe fate becomes unbearable only when a person refuses to work with it. So just because you find yourself in the middle of a divorce, and I call it in the eye of the storm, or you find yourself in the middle of a criminal case, which you are definitely in the eye of the storm, when it's over, do you come out better or do you come out worse? That is what my goal, and that is what I try to help my clients achieve in those two scenarios every day. And that is what I challenge all of you to work on with me that listen to the first hour of this program. Because better chances are not, you actually listen to the show every week. Okay, I know it's a lot. So also in this book that we've been talking about, Stop Letting Everything Affect You Personally: How to Break Free from Overthinking, Emotional Chaos, and Self-Sabotage. This is a fabulous book. Oh, goodness. Any lesson you refuse to learn will repeat itself until you do. I'll say that again. Any lesson you refuse to learn will repeat itself until you do. I am my own worst enemy, and I can't take my own advice. Some lessons I still learn again, and again, and I ask myself, why? You are what you do, not what you say you'll do. Don't tell me what you're going to do. Just do it. Ships that wait for the perfect winds never sail. Well, Joe, I wanted to start this business. Well, Joe, I wanted to go do that, but the timing wasn't right. This didn't work out for me. There is no right time for the ship to sail. If you have something in life you want to go do it. There's no right time. You just have to take the chance. It's fine to fight for someone who loves you. It's also a waste of time to fight for someone only you love. I'll say that one again. It's fine to fight for someone who loves you. It's also a waste of time to fight for someone only you love. You can't make someone love you. If they don't, let them go. It's a luxury to have zero health problems. Thank those of us that don't have health problems, how lucky we are. Keep every stone they throw at you. Your enemies keep every stone they throw at you, because one day you get to throw them all back. You've got castles to be built. Nobody works harder than a person who hates asking people for anything. Nothing is scarier than avoiding your full potential. I'll say that one again. Nothing in life is scarier than avoiding your full potential. And none of us are living up to our full potential, me included. Do not be scared to start over. You might like your new story better. For those of you going through a divorce, I had someone this weekend, and they were back and forth. Joe, should I do this? Do I not do this? Should I do this? I gave them that line. I said, your new story may be better in a year from now, and you'll be so much grateful for it. Sometimes you must go to war with yourself to fix yourself. That's a complicated one. Sometimes you've got to do some hard looking in the mirror, figuring out what's wrong with you before you can go forward and fix yourself. I deal with that every day. Fear doesn't stop. Death stops life. The fear is still there whether you are or not. I'm going to say that one again. This is almost like a proverb. Fear doesn't stop death. It stops life. The fear is still there whether you are or not. What that means is you can't go through life afraid to make a decision, whether it's a divorce, fighting a criminal case, filing that plaintiff lawsuit, starting a new business. You cannot be afraid to make a decision in life. And guess what, folks? Benjamin Franklin, he failed hundreds of times, and he only had to be right once to invent the light bulb, okay? So do not be afraid to fail in life. That means you tried. You get up, and you get a new day, and you start again, and you say, I'll try to do better the next time. This is a biggie with your spouse. Never sleep without resolving the problem and hugging at the end. Don't go to sleep mad at your spouse. They may not wake up the next day, or you may not wake up. Always talk it out, even when it's hard. Don't let the bad day make you forget all the good ones. You're going to have more good days than you do with bad ones in your marriage. So that's some of the content I've been working on. See how good this is. This is self-help, self-growth. I want you to be a better person. I'm going to challenge you to be better in the next year with me. And we're about to go to news and weather in a break, and I don't want to start the next subject. We're going to finish talking about some self-help stuff the second hour, the bottom of the first hour. Then the second hour, we're going to do national news and state legal news. There's some big topics out there. State Supreme Court issues. Elon Musk, SpaceX, went on the stock exchange Friday. I think he's going to be a trillionaire. A lot of people are going to be millionaires overnight. I think the stock price is going to start out roughly $135 a share. So there's a lot of good stuff going on in the month of June. And stay with us. And when we come back after news and weather, we're going to do some more self-help, self-growth stuff. We'll be back. Thank you.
You're listening to The Legal Lowdown with your lawyer, Joe Ingram. If you need confidential legal help off air, reach out to Joe at joeingramlaw.com. Stay tuned for more. Joe will be right back after this break for news and weather.
Flat fee real estate of Birmingham. What sets us apart from other real estate brokerages? Flat fee real estate of Birmingham is a full service real estate brokerage that can significantly reduce the amount you pay to sell your home. There are no high commission fees here. Our brokerage was established right here in Birmingham over 10 years ago, and they remain locally owned and operated. Here you will find agents with over 50 years of combined service and experience, and with excellent performance, whether listing or buying with us. We are there with you every step of the way, so you feel confident you've made the right decision when it comes to your home. Give us a call today, Flat Fee Real Estate of Birmingham.
You're listening to The Legal Lowdown with Joe Ingram. Joe is a 20-year veteran of the Alabama courts specializing in criminal defense and family law. If you need a private legal consultation, email Joe at joeingramlaw.com. And now, welcome back to The Legal Lowdown with Joe Ingram.
All right, we're back for the second segment of the first hour of The Legal Lowdown with Joe Ingram, your Alabama lawyer on WERC 105.5 in Birmingham, WBHP up in Huntsville, and WRTR in Tuscaloosa. Okay, so this is what we're calling our self-help, self-growth, better job, better person. People that listen to the first hour of the show are probably frequent listeners, and I call these my extraordinary people that want to be the best in life. So I know this content is going to resonate with you. All right, before I talk about the second book I've been reading, all right, if you remember back in December, I shared with you every year I write a list of my goals for the next year. It's not a list of 10, 50, or 100. I actually write a list of 300 goals. Now, the first 50 are easy. You have to really stretch your mind to get to 300. They almost become like things that you know there's no way you would ever do, but it might happen. Well, in 2025, if you remember, I told you, we actually knocked off some items between 2 and 300 that I didn't even think was possible, but I did it in 25. So here's where I'm going with this. It's June, and I looked at my goal list the other day to see where I'm headed. I'm way behind this year. It's my own fault. I've got no one to blame but me. My only excuse, and it's a weak excuse, is I've been working way too much and I haven't been doing anything else. But I'm going to catch up really fast. Just hang on. Okay, so I want you to look at your goal list and tell me where you are out there. Not a goal of 10, a goal of 300. Oh, and by the way, there is a difference. There is a goal and there's a dream. And a goal has a plan. A dream is just a wish. Okay, so we covered that. All right, next book I've been reading. Been reading a lot of content for some divorce stuff I'm working on. The book is called Learning to Love Myself. Now, just hang on, guys. This isn't as sappy as you think it is. This is really good information. This is a book from someone who is looking to learn to love themselves again, heal, move forward. It's about letting go of the past choices and feeling okay at your own pace. Okay? This is really important stuff. There are 11 phrases that I took from this book that are going to hit you like a train. You cannot use someone else's map to find yourself. You cannot use someone else's map to find yourself. We are all on our own story and journey in this world. You may be faster than me. Number 2, maybe your garden isn't growing because every time a flower grows, you cut it off to prove to someone else that you're a gardener. Seems kind of silly. I like my hydrangea bushes that bloom this time of year. And I cut some in the yard for my wife to put on the kitchen table. Sometimes you just let your flowers grow. You don't have to show them off to anybody. Both fear and faith ask you to believe in something you can't see. It is your choice. I'm going to say that one again. Both fear and faith ask you to believe in something you can't see. You can have fear. You can have faith. They both exist. You can't see them, but you got to move forward. Maybe forever was a word meant for memories, not people. Sometimes people do not stay in your life forever. You can have great memories of them, but maybe the person has to go. At the end of the day, it's a simple question. Do you like who you are and who you're with at that time? At the end of the day, do you like who you are and do you like who you're with? I use that question in divorce counseling all the time. Are you happy when you go home and see that person? If you're not, if you dread walking in the door, we have a problem. I'm going to give it to you another scenario. If you have that job and you sit in your car and you go, oh, it's 7:58, I got to walk in the door, you have a problem. Life is too short. Go find a new job. I've said it before. The meaning of life is to give life meaning. These are proverbs. The meaning of life is to give life meaning. To me, that says, whatever your life is, are you enjoying it? Are you living it to the best of your ability? Are you getting the most out of every day? Because guess what? You only get so many days to wake up and be above ground. Nobody's lived twice, to the best of my knowledge. You're not coming back. You get 24 hours a day. I wake up every day and I say, I want to be better than the day before. That is my goal every day that I get up. I believe that and I say it and I live it. This next one's really important. If you are persistent, you'll get it. If you're consistent, I'll say it again. If you are persistent, you'll get it. If you are consistent, you got to be persistent every day. There's going to be days that doors are going to be shut in your face. Not everybody is going to buy your product on day one, but you got to keep selling your product and you got to promote yourself when nobody else does. Okay. If you're grateful, you'll attract more of it. Have you ever been around people that suck the life out of you? Have you ever been around those people? Kind of like in-laws. Just kidding. You get around these people and they're downers. The goal for me is to find people. I want to be in a circle of people, of 4 people that are smarter than me, that I learn from all the time. If you're the smartest person in your group, you are in the wrong group to grow. Find a new group of people that challenge you to make you better every day. Okay. That's a tough one. Hope I don't get in trouble when I get home. Okay, next one. I know it's heavy, but it will pass. Also, note, it will pass, but it is heavy. That sounds like a digestive problem. I know it's heavy. The problem is heavy, but it will pass. The divorce will pass. You will move on. You'll wake up in a year from now and you'll have a better peace of mind. And note, it'll also be heavy. These are proverbs. I should be writing these. Or you can find these on Chinese fortune cookies if you don't believe them at all. John's over there laughing. A fresh start isn't always a new place, it's a mindset. A fresh start isn't always a new place, it's a mindset. Every day that you wake up is a new mindset. You got to be better than the day before. Every day in our lives is a fresh start to get up, to thank God you are above ground, and you're going to be different than you were than the day before. However long you're on this earth, you only get so many of these to get it right. And the older you get, I've said this before, the faster the days go by. We're already in June. Isn't it strange, yet magical, and seemingly random how people come across your path one day and mean something to each other, even though you don't see that person all the time? I'm going to give you an example. I have a friend, and we went to graduate school together. And the first day of graduate school, wasn't the best way to meet. Let's just put it like that. And we actually became really good friends. I don't talk to this person every day. I hadn't even talked to this person since March. But when we talk, we pick right back up where we left off. We became great friends. We started running together. By the way, this person's 12 years younger than me, and I beat him running one time 10 miles. We go down the Coosa River canoeing together, sometimes in the summer twice. And yes, that's coming up because we've had the rains, and the Coosa River should be up now. So people come along in your life for a season. That doesn't mean they stay forever, but you don't also lose touch of those people on your journey. They're just there for that moment in time. It's amazing how many lives we all touch and affect, even if it's just for a short period. And I have clients that I've represented. I had somebody send me a letter the other day that I represented 10 years ago, and they just wanted to update me on their life. It was special because what I have is not just a job, it's a profession, it's my vocation, and I believe I'm at my place in life to help people. I really do. Okay. All right. So that's some of the good stuff that I'm challenging you to work on, and I want to hear from you this week on what you're doing and growing in your own individual lives on each of these that we've talked about. So let's talk a little bit about our goal list. I got this from somebody famous. I've always had a goal list, but it used to be like, 25 a year. And the goals were always pretty business driven or driven towards health or diet, things like that. But I expanded my list last year to 300. The first 20, 25 goals are easy if you're goal driven. Once you get past 50, 75, you have to really sit down and think, what do I really want to achieve in life? And these are for people that want to be millionaires. This is for people that want to be entrepreneurs, people that want to start businesses, people that want to be extraordinary in life, people that have dreams other than working 8 to 5, going home, drinking a beer, sitting in a lazy boy, watching TV, and then life is just washing over you, passing you by. You start putting things on your list that you want to achieve, but you really don't know that it's feasible. But they're out there. If I told you some of the ones that I knocked off last year, I never would have believed it. Then again, I also worked myself to death last year. I was off less than 17 days the whole year. So I roughly worked, 340 something days out of the year. So that is your goal is to work on your goal list and get it up to par. And I'm going to do the same on my goal list the rest of the year because I'm way behind. Some of them are getting close. I'm not able to tick them off yet because I haven't completed the project that we're starting. So that is some of the things you need to work on. Anyway, all right. So I want you to work on your goal list, and I want you to check out these books. The one about loving yourself, and the one about self-sabotage, because people that either go through traumatic childhood experiences, come from broken homes, more often than not have a altered version of themselves, that they don't feel good enough, that they are not worthy of whatever success that they've achieved in life. Ben Affleck is the perfect example of that last week. Ben Affleck's dad, I believe, was an alcoholic and could not hold a job. Ben Affleck came from very limited means, and he just sold a movie production company for over $300 million. Ben Affleck is a very successful actor in Hollywood. He's had his up and downs with his alcohol and drug addiction. He's had beautiful relationships with Jennifer Lopez, Jennifer Garner, beautiful women. He's got 3 lovely kids. But there's something in his back of his mind. It's called self-sabotage. That every time he gets close or he meets some goal, he actually hurts his own self because he doesn't feel worthy. People do it every day. Look at Tiger Woods. Look at Michael Jackson. Look at Britney Spears. If that's not ever a self-sabotage case, I don't know what there is. I mean, she's had it all, and the best thing they ever did for her was give her that conservatorship, or her parents were watching her money to protect her from her. And then she got out of that, and she's gone off the rails again. She got a DUI. Then there was a story a couple of weeks ago that she had a knife in a steakhouse, and not sure if that's true or not. But Britney Spears is the test tube case of why you gotta have people around you to protect you. And the Friends actor we talked about a couple of weeks ago, can't think of his name, the guy that died in the hot tub, his personal assistant was giving him fentanyl. No, ketamine. That's what they were getting. Ketamine. He went to federal prison for that. So all of these examples are about self-sabotage and not feeling worthy or good enough and protecting yourself from yourself when you actually reach some level of success, whatever that is in your life. Okay. All right. So now we're going to get to some legal news for the next part of the show. Okay. This is the time of the year when the Supreme Court winds down their term. June 30 is when the Supreme Court winds down. And there are some really big cases that the Supreme Court has got to issue opinions on still that we're waiting on. And the first one is the biggie, birthright citizenship. This is Trump's baby. The style of the case is Trump versus Barbara. And Trump has long maintained that the Constitution does not guarantee birthright citizenship for babies born on U.S. soil and of parents that come here and are here either illegally or on a visa. And so at the beginning of his second term, he issued an executive order related expressly to this issue about birthright citizenship, and it has now worked its way through the courts. And they had oral arguments. I am going to predict, even with the majority of conservative judges, Most of them are strict constitutionalists. I do not believe that Trump's going to win this fight. Now, that doesn't mean I don't agree with it, because people come to this country, they have children, they're here illegally, and then they get all the benefits of being a U.S. citizen. And I'm going to bring up an issue that some of you may or may not realize that are a perfect example of this. I want you to think about birthright citizenship. And have you heard of this lady from California? Her name is Eileen. Is it Gu? I think that's her name. She was she's an American citizen. Her parents are from China, but she played on the China team for the Winter Olympics, both in 18 and 26, in Beijing and Milano. She played for the China team. She's an American citizen. She's beautiful. She is been very fortunate in her life. She didn't play on the American team. And she gets asked in the press all the time, and she just says, well, you know, my mother's from China and want to stick to my family roots, so I play for the China team. Doesn't sit well with me. Surely doesn't sit well with President Trump. Okay. The next big issue that's coming out is the case of, where is the second case? There is a case about President Trump trying to fire a member of the Federal Reserve Bank. And her name is Lisa Cook. She's a Federal Reserve chairman. He threatened to fire her, and it got stopped. And so this case went to the Supreme Court this term. They had oral arguments. Jerome Powell showed up in support of Lisa Cook. He tried to remove her without cause. I think there is a chance that the Supreme Court may give him a win on this one. Now, it's going to upset the banks, the economists, the business leaders, because then they're going to say, well, if a president can fire somebody at the Federal Reserve, which is supposed to be neutral, above politics at all, then he can control the financial markets. But if the president has the ability to appoint a Fed chairman, then why does he not have the same power to fire a Fed chairman or somebody on the Federal Reserve Bank? So on this one, I say the court may give him a win. I think he wins this one. May be wrong, but we're going to find out here in 2 weeks. The next big fight with the Supreme Court, it involves the case of related to trans bans in sports. The case is titled Little versus Peacocks and West Virginia versus BPJ. That's just the initials of the person involved in the case. And the issue in the case is that half of the states have a ban for trans girls and women for participating in women's sports are publicly funded schools. The issue before the court are 2 cases in one involving varsity competition at colleges and universities, and the other involves sports and high school sports. Of the bans say that the laws are needed to prevent athletes who are assigned sex at birth, meaning a man says now that she's a woman, or a woman now that says she's a man. Those that are against the trans ban believe that this discriminates based upon sex and a violation of federal law and the Constitution under the Equal Protection Law. I guess they're arguing under the 14th Amendment. I deeply believe that if you are born a man, then you should have to compete in a male sport, and women should not have to compete against men. The big case was a year or two where the male athlete in college claimed he was a woman, and he was beating all the women in the swimming competitions. It wasn't even a fair fight. They were unhappy. And not only that, he was dressing in a women's locker room, and they said it made them very uncomfortable. That really bothers me. If you think that's okay, you're sick. I'm sorry. It just doesn't play well. If you're a man, you're a man. If you're a woman, you're a woman. I don't care what you do. You are what you are. Okay, we made it to the bottom of the hour. We're going to go to news and weather, and we'll be back for the second hour in a minute.
You're listening to The Legal Lowdown with your lawyer, Joe Ingram. If you need confidential legal help off air, reach out to Joe at joeingramlaw.com. Stay tuned for more. Joe will be right back after this break for news and weather.
You know, here on The Legal Lowdown, we talk a lot about protecting what's yours. So let me tell you about the folks I trust to do exactly that around your home. Shelby Fence Company. For over 30 years, this is the name the Birmingham metro area has trusted for fence installation and repair, done right the first time. They do wood, aluminum, chain link, even agricultural fencing, both residential or commercial. They design it to fit your property. They build it with quality materials to stand up to Alabama weather, and they show you when they show up on time. They even remove and replace. Their crews are professional. The workmanship speaks for itself. So whether you're putting up a brand new fence or fixing the one that you've got, call the team I trust, Shelby Fence Company, at 205-664-1551, or you can find them at shelbyfencecompany.com. Tell them Joe sent you.
You're listening to The Legal Lowdown with Joe Ingram. Joe is a 20-year veteran of the Alabama courts specializing in criminal defense and family law. If you need a private legal consultation, email Joe at joeingramlaw.com. And now, welcome back to The Legal Lowdown with Joe Ingram.
All right, we're back for the second hour of The Legal Lowdown with Joe Ingram, your Alabama lawyer on WERC 105.5 in Birmingham, WBHP up in Huntsville, and WRTR in Tuscaloosa. This is the second hour of our broadcast. Thank you for tuning in and listening to our show. Okay, we've been talking about some national legal topics. There are some Supreme Court cases that we're still waiting on to come out here in the next 2 weeks. They usually roll these decisions out on Friday, by the way. Don't know why. They just do that. Maybe because some people are not paying attention on Friday. But, okay, one of the next big cases that the Supreme Court has got to decide this term is related to election balloting. And the case is Watson versus the Republican National Committee. 29 states count at least some ballots that arrive after Election Day, and that includes ballot for overseas people or people in the military, as long as they are postmarked on or before Election Day. I believe this decision just came in the other day. I haven't had time to read it in full, but I believe the decision just came in because it was a Mississippi case. And the argument is that ballots that arrive late violate the Constitution. It gives states the right to run their own elections. The Trump administration and the Republican Party take the opposite position. They maintain under federal law that elections has to happen on Election Day. Anything that happens after that is not a part of the election. Go look at the test case right now out in California of the governor's race and the mayor's race. Isn't this funny how this is still going on? They were counting ballots, and then finally they said, we got enough. We're good. I saw a news story this week about harvesting ballots. It's a weird concept, but let me give you this example. Let's say I'm a Democratic person working for the DNC, and I call you up and I say, hey, you going to vote? No, I don't want to go down and vote today. Hey, I will come out to your house. I'm going to help you prepare your ballot, and then I'll take it and go turn it in for you. How about that? That make you happy? Oh, sure, come do that. Then I don't have to leave to go vote. That's called ballot harvesting. How do you know that somebody doesn't change your ballot when they turn it in? And get this. Guess what you can vote with out in California the other day? Do you know you can vote with a gym membership card? Are you kidding me? They had this article I read had something like 35 different pieces of identification that you could use to vote with. What's wrong with just a driver's license or an ID card? I mean, gym membership cards? Are you kidding me? I fully believe that a lot of illegals are voting out in California, and they want it that way because they want to keep the governors in power. The governorship in California has been Democrat since Arnold Schwarzenegger in 2008 or 2006. It's been a long time that the Democrats have been in power out in California, and they want to keep it that way. So, anyway, the next case that has got to be decided by the Supreme Court is related to the deportation of illegal immigrants. And this case is a little hard to explain, so just bear with me a minute. Congress enacted a temporary protected status law in 1990 to allow fully vetted eligible migrants to live and work legally in the U.S. with the following provisions. If they cannot return safely to their country because of a natural disaster, armed conflicts, or other conditions. Since the law was enacted 36 years ago, every president, both Republican and Democrat, has allowed it except for President Donald J. Trump. He tried to kill it in his first term. It didn't work. He came back in the second term and immediately entered an executive order related specifically to that. He's identified 17 countries whose migrants that fall under this temporary protected status that he is seeking to eliminate. 13 of those countries from that list involve migrants from Haiti and Syria. The Haitians, and there are more than 300,000 of them that have been living in the U.S. since the 2010 earthquake. There are only roughly 3,000 Syrians that apply to this group. However, if President Trump is able to win this one, and I think there is an outside chance that the Supreme Court rules that the time has come to show you the door. It's what we would call mass deportation. If Trump wins this one, then load up the planes come July 1st. You're going back to Haiti. You're out of here. So I hope he wins this one. But those are the big issues that are still to be decided by the Supreme Court. So we shall see how they turn out. Okay. I want to go back to the transgender case just for a second. We talked briefly before the break about the swimmer. Can't think of the guy's name. He won all the races. The females felt like they were playing for second place. Okay. There was a story in the news, I think 2 weeks ago, out in California. And there is this transgender male that claims he's a female. And he's in the news. I don't know his name. I don't follow it that close. But this is what I did pick up from the story. He's winning first place in all the races. So when they have the podiums, they're putting him as first, and they're putting a female next to him as first. So we have a first female and we have a first transgender female, and they're doing that for the podiums. That's kind of like saying 1A and 1B. You don't have that. You have winners and you have losers. That's it at the end of the day. But that's California's take on how to solve the problem. We're going to let the transgender take first place, but then we're going to put a woman next to him to make her feel equally. That just doesn't make sense to me at all. It's not fair to women. And here's how I equate this. Okay. As a runner, I run in the 50 age bracket. Okay. All right. Well, the next race I have, I'm going to run in the 70 age bracket. How about that? If you can pick your gender, why not pick your age? That way I would win first in my age bracket. Now, I'm not going to do that. I'm just not going to do that. Okay. But that's the equivalency. If you can pick your sex, then why not pick your age for an age bracket in a race? It's the same. It's the same example. There is another case I forgot to mention before the Supreme Court related to digital privacy. This case is about the constitutional test regarding whether police can use geofence warrants to compel companies like Google to search millions of users for the location histories to catch suspects. We've talked about this a little bit in the past when we do like cell phone forensic searches. What you can do, and I'm not the best to explain all this, but you can look at a phone and determine what cell phone tower it was tied to at the time of the call. So you can eliminate people that were in the area for a geo area to determine who may have committed the crime. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I'm not opposed to this new law. It's just technology catching up with the times. And it's making it harder for people to commit crimes and get away with them. It's no different than everybody having security cameras and Ring phones at their house. If we can have that, then we should be able to use the technology that we have to find people or eliminate people in an area that may or may not have committed a crime. So I think the Supreme Court will allow this to happen and the warrants to be used and compelled on Google to provide the information. There is also a gun rights case before the Supreme Court this term that is tied to whether concealed carry laws and federal bans that restrict gun ownership for individuals who use marijuana. Not really sure how I feel about this. I don't know all the facts of the case, but let's just say that you got a medical marijuana card in the state of Alabama that we just put out there last week. It's now legal. And you got that medical marijuana card because you claim you have post-traumatic stress disorder. Okay. Do we really need you out there with a firearm? I don't know. I just asked the questions. I'm going to go no there. If you are using marijuana and you identify yourself with a medical marijuana card, I don't know that you need to have a firearm. That protects the public and also protects you. That's kind of how I see that one. I don't think you need to have a gun. And that also makes me think about Hunter Biden. He was a drug addict. He had all these drug issues, and then he had a firearm, and he threw it in a garbage can up in, was it Delaware or Pennsylvania? And he got charged with that federally, and he got convicted. And then his father gave him a pardon, wiped away all his federal convictions. Oh, and he also got convicted in California for tax fraud and tax evasion, by the way, and that one got kicked away too. And just in case you haven't paid attention to the news in the last week, guess what? The story's out. Hunter Biden thinks he's going to run for president in 2028. He's making the rounds. The DNC's not happy about it, but he's out there. He thinks he's going to carry the mantle for his daddy. I still say, because I saw another story when I got off the broadcast last week. I picked it. Rahm Emanuel is the dark horse for the DNC candidate. He is the true deal. He's run a national campaign. He's been the chief of staff for President Obama. He's got all the connections. He's smart. He's intelligent. He knows the issues. He knows what he's doing. And I think Rahm Emanuel is going to announce in January of 27 that he's running for the DNC presidential candidate. I said it here first. Go put your money out. You might win. All right. Now we get to the good stuff. This is the fun stuff. You ready? Socialism has come to America, and younger generations are falling for it, just like in other countries, the Soviet Union, Cuba, Stalin, Mao, all these countries that it didn't work because they're either not educated or they don't want to get a job and they don't want to work. Oh, my goodness. There was a movie in 1991, Danny DeVito. Now, if you haven't seen this, just bear with me for a minute. It's called Other People's Money. Other People's Money. I use that term also to define my spouse. She is the spender of other people's money. I'm going to get in trouble when I get home. Okay. All right. Bear with me a second. Danny DeVito is a Wall Street tycoon. And every morning he gets up and he pulls up his computer and he finds the most weak company, if you will, meaning they are a cash cow, but they are a poor stock. And so he wants to buy the company and take it apart. There are people on Wall Street that do this every day, and they're very good at it. So he wakes up one day and he pulls up this company, and it is a company that makes wire and cable. and the industry is dying out. And so he starts buying up all the stock because he wants to buy the company. And through the course of the movie, the story is he falls in love with the lawyer that is the daughter of the owner of the company that he's trying to buy. And so they have a proxy fight for the shares of stock at the end. And he gives this wonderful speech, and you can go Google this on YouTube. Just go Google Danny DeVito as Lawrence Garfield giving his famous speech at the end of the movie, okay? It's great. And he talks about how greed is good. And you buy stock in a company for one reason only, to make a profit or a dividend. That's the only reason you invest in a company. And so all these people want to keep the company because they love it. It's been a part of their family, but it's dying. And he says, look, let me sell this company. Let me take it apart. I'll make you more money in the value of your stock. Guess what? He wins the fight, and they vote to sell the company and take it apart. So that is where socialism starts. People in America believe that everybody can be taken care of from cradle to the grave. That is not true. That takes us to our buddy that I talk about almost every week now, Mandami. He believes that he needs to take everybody's property and divide it up and decide what everybody gets. They really believe that in so many ways in New York. And they are losing their tax base because the people that have money are either going to leave New York shortly or already have left New York. Governor Hochul has already been out on the news begging people to come back to support all their social programs. I'm not coming back to support all your social programs. I'm taking my money and leaving. Because they always say the same thing. They're not paying their fair share. The one thing they never identify is, what is the number that you think the fair share is? The highest tax rate's already 37%. That means 37 cents out of every dollar is going to taxes. So those on the left and the elitist either want to smear or cancel Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, Ben Franklin, while singing in the praises of Lenin, Stalin, Marx, and Mao. Socialism is on our shores. It did not work in East Germany. It did not work in the Soviet Union. And Cuba is collapsing as we speak. And we may get Cuba before the end of Trump's term. I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. The Socialist Democratic Party of America wants to create nanny states. And they are doing this in other parts of the country as well now. It has moved on to Seattle, Washington. They just created a socialist mayor. And they're trying to do it also in L.A. The person that's running against, I think her name is Mayor Bass, that finished second in the primary, she is a registered socialist as well. That means the biggest, most prominent cities in our country are becoming socialist test tubes. New York, Seattle, Washington, Los Angeles, California. Are you kidding me? But notice when I said the word test tube, here's why. They never work. Socialism never works. Because people wake up one day and they go, well, I want more than $500 a week. Well, no, that's all you need. That's all you get. That's your allotment for the week. I want more. Well, there is no more because there is no more tax base. That's all we got. So eventually, people will wake up and realize that capitalism is the way that the world works, and that's how you make money and survive. I would rather be in a caste system in India, knowing in India, if you are born poor, then you're going to die poor. If you're born rich, then you're going to die rich. I would rather know what I'm going to be than be a socialist in America and be told this is my lot in life and be happy about it and accept it. That's just my philosophy. Okay, the next story I want to talk about is a state case. There was supposed to be an execution Thursday night of Jeffrey Lee. We talked about this case last week. I am so disappointed with Judge Marks out of Montgomery. She is a Trump appointee. The case got sent to her, and we're going to talk about this case in the final segment. I got really strong thoughts about the death penalty in Alabama and the United States. I do not have a problem with it. Not at all. Not one bit. And maybe you have strong views as well. I have some friends that are huge people that are against the death penalty. And they can give me all their reasons why, too. We just disagree. But that's a big case I want to talk about. And then there was another case this week we're going to talk about that was before the Birmingham City Council related to data centers. Yes, they're trying to put a data center over in Homewood. They have put a stay on that for now. We've been talking a lot about data centers, so we're going to talk about the execution case, the data centers, and a couple more issues, and we'll be back after news and weather.
You're listening to The Legal Lowdown with your lawyer, Joe Ingram. If you need confidential legal help off air, reach out to Joe at joeingramlaw.com. Stay tuned for more. Joe will be right back after this break for news and weather.
Flat Fee Real Estate of Birmingham. What sets us apart from other real estate brokerages? Flat Fee Real Estate of Birmingham is a full-service real estate brokerage that can significantly reduce the amount you pay to sell your home. There are no high commission fees here. Our brokerage was established right here in Birmingham over 10 years ago, and they remain locally owned and operated. Here you will find agents with over 50 years of combined service and experience, and with excellent performance, whether listing or buying with us. We are there with you every step of the way so you feel confident you've made the right decision when it comes to your home. Give us a call today, Flat Fee Real Estate of Birmingham.
You're listening to The Legal Lowdown with Joe Ingram. Joe is a 20-year veteran of the Alabama courts specializing in criminal defense and family law. If you need a private legal consultation, email Joe at joeingramlaw.com. And now, welcome back to The Legal Lowdown with Joe Ingram.
Hi, we're back for the final segment of the Legal Lowdown with Joe Ingram, your Alabama lawyer, on WERC 105.5 in Birmingham, WBHP up in Huntsville, and WRTR in Tuscaloosa. Okay, final segment of the week. There was supposed to be an execution Thursday night for Jeffrey Lee. It was called off because a federal judge in Montgomery, a Trump appointee, if you can believe that, ruled that nitrogen gas was unconstitutional. And then it went up to the 11th Circuit due to a Attorney General Steve Marshall filing an appeal. 11th Circuit stepped in, sent it back to the judge, and then the judge basically came out and ruled that a firing squad met the legal standard. And then Alabama says, well, they weren't readily available for a firing squad yet. The federal judge stated that nitrogen gas created emotional distress and was not painless. Okay. The interesting thing about this is that Jeffrey Lee, the one that's going to die, does not even question his death sentence or that the state of Alabama has the right to carry out the death penalty on him. It's just the manner in which we impose the death penalty is what he's got a problem with. Here, you're gonna love these. You're gonna love these next facts about this. I mean, you just can't make this stuff up. Kudos to Steve Marshall, who expedited it to try to carry out the execution. Kay Ivey at the last minute issued a statement basically saying that Jeffrey Lee was convicted and sentenced to death in December 1998. 1998. Think about that, folks. We're in 2026. For the murder and robbery of Mr. Ellis and a Miss Elaine Thompson of Dallas County. The governor said she was disappointed with the ruling and that they didn't allow the state to carry out the nitrogen gas method of execution, and she remains committed to ensure that justice is ultimately served for the victims of this case. Couple comments to think about here. Anytime there is an execution date for someone, it is a big deal. There are all these steps that go into place. The timing of all this, the whole 48 hours beforehand is like a clock, if you will. So all this gets done every time one of these cases happen, and then it gets stopped, and you got to start all over again. Think about the money, the tax dollars we spend doing this to stop it, okay? That's the first thing to think about. Just some basic common sense stuff. Now, so the decision is now nitrogen versus a firing squad. Or even Judge Mark said that she was okay going back with the electric chair. Yellow Mama is what we used to call it. Just cook them. We were doing lethal injection, and we had to stop that in 2018. It was a method of putting three drugs together in a mixture, if you will, to administer a sedation before the lungs stop, and then the heart would stop. And so in 2018, they passed a new law that involved nitrogen gas as an alternative of execution as to the medication in the veins. Now, here's what's funny. Everybody on death row, they said, you get to decide how you die. Do you want the gas or do you want the needle? Well, guess what Jeffrey Lee said in 2018? I'll take the gas. He said it. And now 8 years later, he goes, oh, that's going to be painful. It's going to cause me distress. I don't want that to die. I bet you his victims didn't have the same amount of time to think about their death and their distress before he killed them in a robbery and a murder. I'm just saying, if you commit the ultimate crime, you got to pay the ultimate price. I mean, if you are in Iraq or Iran and you commit theft, they cut your hand off. They do. And if you commit murder or if you're a woman and you commit adultery, they stone you to death in the town square. And you tell me this isn't the greatest country on earth? Get out of here. So Jeffrey Lee's lawyers have prevailed once again, and they have argued that nitrogen executions cause extreme mental and physical pain and suffering, and they say a firing squad is better. Okay, well, just go get 3 people of the Alabama National Guard or 3 people of the Alabama State Troopers Association, put them on a wall, and that way, if there's 3, which one of them doesn't know they have the bullet in their gun? I'll fire the gun, shoot him, kill him, be done with it. I'm a full believer that after you've had your trial of your peers, you've exhausted all your appeals, you're done, get it over with. But the appellate court had a problem with the 60 seconds or 180 seconds that Jeffrey Lee would have to count in his head thinking about dying by nitrogen gas. Can you believe that? There was a website set up for Jeffrey Lee and for his clemency. They talked about his childhood trauma, traumatic brain injury as a child, drug addiction, mental illness prior to the shooting. They claimed that he had an excellent prison record. Well, guess what, folks? You know why you have an excellent prison record in Alabama if you're on death row? If you're on death row, you're in a box by yourself. You're not in a barracks. So you're alone 23 hours a day. They feel like that they need to commute his death sentence and just let him spend the rest of his days at Holman and die. I don't know. I don't understand. And then Jeffrey Lee came out and made a statement yesterday. He called his mother. And this one gets me. He claims that when he was waiting in the death chamber one time, that one of the guardsmen that was going to carry it out said that you are not the same man, the cold-blooded killer that you were when you first came in here. You're not the brash animal that came in here, and that he didn't deserve the death penalty. Well, it's kind of like the movie The Green Mile. Just because you're assigned to Holman Prison to death row and you develop a relationship with these people, it's not your decision. A jury made the decision, or the judge made the decision about the death penalty, and that's the one we're going to go with. As far as the Eighth Amendment and cruel, unusual punishment, I have had the opportunity in my career. I've had one case related to the Eighth Amendment, cruel, unusual punishment. And I'll tell this story really fast. I had a client. He was at the Hamilton prison up in North Alabama for the aged and infirmed people in Alabama State Prison. And he signed up every day for sick call. Honest to goodness, he signed up every day for sick call. And here's why. He wanted his neck collar, he wanted his cane, and he wanted 2 cots to sleep on. And by the way, he signed up every day for meds because he'd been a drug addict his whole life. Well, the doctor got mad at him. The doctor took away his second cot, and I think the doctor took away either his cane or his neck brace. Can't remember which one. Anyway, so this guy in prison files a federal lawsuit under the Eighth Amendment, cruel, unusual punishment, because he says he's not getting his cane and his neck brace. He is pro se, meaning he represents himself. This case gets all the way into federal court, and it gets all the way to the federal judge's desk. And there was one sentence that made the judge mad. The doctor had said that this person was malingering or was a malingerer, and it made the judge mad, thinking he wasn't treating the person in prison. So he said, we're going to have a trial. Federal judge calls me. He says, Joe, I want you to represent this person in this case for Eighth Amendment cruel and unusual punishment. I said, Judge, what is my role here and why? He said, well, really, you have no role. You're just here to help him get evidence in because he's pro se. I said, so you're telling me I have no responsibility, but I also have all the responsibility to get the case in? Yeah. I said, so I'm trying it, but I'm not trying it. Yeah, sort of. You go figure it out. Okay. So I have to review all the records, prepare a case for trial. It's a bench trial in front of a federal judge. It lasted 4 days. And this guy was also really close to getting some money from the judge until he got in a fight with the judge on a Wednesday afternoon in the courtroom. And we took a break. And then the judge looked at me. He said, Joe, now I'm appointing you to represent him because he's in civil contempt of court because he got in a fight with me on the bench. I said, okay, what's my role in this one? I don't know what my role is. Never been in this position. Anyway, client lost. He didn't get a dime. I spent 2 weeks of my life preparing for a trial that did not end well. All because somebody signed up every day for sick call, did not get their neck brace, second cot, and a cane, and pain meds because they were a drug addict under the Eighth Amendment, cruel and unusual punishment. There you go. That's my story for the day. Okay. We've talked a lot about data centers, and this company wanted to put a data center in over by the Homewood area, I think by the Wildwood area. And it was on 79 acres of land, that's huge, 79 acres. It's also near Sanford University, by the Wildwood area, lovely part of town. And so they had a hearing this week in front of the Birmingham City Council. And it was a pretty heated meeting, lasted a few hours. Birmingham approved new regulations for data centers on Tuesday this week. City leaders called for the addition to zoning policy among the strongest ordinances nationwide. The City Council voted 6-3 to pass the data center ordinance after a nearly 5-hour meeting on Tuesday. 5 hours, they argued this. Zoning and planning staff presented their updated draft that will now apply to any future data center projects or developments. I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. Data centers take up lots of space. 79 acres. They take up lots of power. They take up lots of water. They do not supply jobs. You get some tax revenue for the data center. I equate this to all the big box retail commercial centers we have all over Birmingham that are sitting empty right now. At some point in time, and this may be way over my head, we're going to build these huge data centers, and as technology advances, they're going to say, we don't need 79 acres for a data center. Okay, well, what you going to do with what you just built other than tear it down? So, I understand we need data centers. I understand we've got to beat China. I'm all for that. I am. I'm all for progress. I'm just not totally convinced that this is the best use of land. And by the way, 79 acres over near the Homewood, Wildwood area, that's prime real estate. Maybe we're going to have to put these data centers back in the woods somewhere, back off of the interstate, something like that. When I worked for Alabama Power as an accountant, and I got put on the team to develop Southern Link, which was the two-way Nextel radios, if you will, in competition. And our goal was to build out the Southern Link company for Southern Company. We had huge fights all the time with municipalities about where we could put cellular towers because they were eyesores. In fact, there's one in Hoover near the interstate, and I can think of it right now. It's down there in Hoover, but it's also got, it looks like a pine tree. And we had to agree to do that. That was part of one of my projects because they said you can't have a cellular tower there, but we made it look like a pine tree, but it's right there off the interstate. If you know what I'm talking about, and John's shaking his head. Yep, I was part of that one. So that's what I'm talking about with these data centers. We're going to put 79 acres of some big concrete conglomerate. I don't know. I guess you wouldn't even put glass in it. It'd just be concrete and metal and fiber optics, and a lot of power to generate it. So this data center fight is going to be an issue for the next 10 years. I don't know what all the answers are. I'm not saying I have the issues or the answers. I'm just telling you, this is something we've got to think long and hard about and how to solve it. It's going to be there for a long time, that issue of the data centers. Okay, so we got about 5 minutes left. So elections are Tuesday, folks. We've still got some big races, so please go vote. If you don't vote, you don't have a right to complain. I think for lieutenant governor, I think Trump's going to help. So I guess that's John Wall. I'm going to make that prediction. The U.S. Senate race, I believe Barry Moore wins that race, hands down. For the Attorney General race, I believe that Catherine Robertson will carry the day. If Catherine does, one, she doesn't get to go be a ski instructor. Sorry, Catherine, you're going to have a full-time job for a long time. And kudos to Catherine Robertson. She will have made history. She will be the first female elected attorney general in the state of Alabama. And yes, I know it's just the Republican runoff, but there's no way that a Democrat's going to beat whoever the Republican candidate is in November. So by all intents purposes, Catherine Robertson will be the effective AG come January of 27. Let's see. Is there any other big state? Oh, as far as the agriculture commissioner race, AG race, I think there's a chance, depending on turnout, and I haven't looked at the weather for Tuesday. I'm going to say Corey Hill. We had Corey Hill on the show. I think Corey Hill wins that race. If turnout is high up here in North Alabama, Corey wins it. If turnout is low, then the person down in Mobile, can't think of her name right now, I think she wins the race. Let's see. Is there any other big state races than those? I think that's all the big state races. Local races, there's some races up in North Alabama that are hotly contested. We have a judgeship in Shelby County that's up. Don't know anything about those. I think those are all going to fall under the friends and family turnout. I'm going to say turnout is 15%. That's pretty sad. But we're in the middle of June, and turnout for the primary was like less than 30%. So I'm going to say half of that for the turnout for this election. Anyway, So my parting thought for the week, if you weren't ready, you wouldn't have the opportunity. If you weren't capable, you wouldn't have the desire, meaning you have the opportunity today. You have the desire, so go do it. Don't put it off. You'll feel better when it's over. Whatever your goal, whatever your desire is, go make it happen. That's my parting thought for the day. We are in June. Enjoy the weather. Enjoy the fireflies. It's Father's Day weekend, so happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. And next week, we are going to have the mayor of Hoover in the studio with us, Mayor Durzis. He's going to talk about the story that came out about Hoover being in the top 10 most livable cities in the country. That's a great thing to be proud of. He's been a police officer for Hoover a long time. He's the new mayor. He's got a lot to share. He's got a lot to be proud of and brag about the city of Hoover. That's some stuff we're going to talk about community-wise in Alabama that we're going to share and be proud of in the next coming weeks. As always, we want to thank our sponsor, Flat Fee Real Estate of Birmingham. We give a shout-out to Shelby Fence. If you need a fence, Shelby Fence is the people you need to know. And that's about all we got for the week. I'm running short on time, trying to get to the end. I want you to spend the rest of June thinking about what a wonderful country we live in. July the 4th, we are going to celebrate the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence of our country. The fact that we made it 250 years is great. And I'm also concerned, can we make it 250 more years? I won't be around. I won't know. I won't care. But I am concerned that the United States is coming apart at the seams. I do believe, I hate to say this, that there may come a day that the United States will no longer be 50 states together. I do believe it may be broken up. I hate to say that. But the people on the left are so far fringed from reality that you can't even have a conversation with them. I mean, they're just gone. Gestation parents, gestation mother, I mean, just terms like that. We got bigger issues to solve. The Social Security issue, again, was in the news this week. 2032, it's going to go broke. That means they're not going to pay in. They're only going to pay out 70 cents on the dollar for everybody that's going to be getting that. We've got some big issues that we need to solve in our country in the next year. So those are the things we need to think about, not gestation parent and parentage and all this crap. And that idiot up in Maine, what's his name, Graham Planter? Yeah. Can you believe that clown? And all the Democrats came out for him, and they don't even like him, but they just want the Senate power. That's the kind of stuff we're dealing with. So those are the issues we're dealing with. I hope y'all have a great week. I've enjoyed it, and we will talk to you next week. Go out and have some fun. Have a good day. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Legal Lowdown with your lawyer, Joe Ingram of Joe Ingram Law. Don't forget to follow Joe's Legal Lowdown podcast on iHeart. If you need a private legal consultation, reach out to Joe on his website, joeingramlaw.com. Tune in again next Saturday for the Legal Lowdown with Joe Ingram. No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by any other lawyer.